What's up, guys? SAG here. Welcome to another video, and it's back. Back It Up is back. The podcast is back, and I have a special guest today. I got Nigel. How's it going, Nigel?
Oh, good.
Yeah, we here. We having a good time. So today we're gonna run through this program here. First, we have NBA. Then we're gonna talk some football, soccer, or as they say in the U.S. We're going to be talking about the Premier League, La Liga, Euro 2020, Ligue 1. Quickly we'll run through, and also the Serie A top four race. After that, I'll talk about some MLB, probably just the Jays, and then we could talk about the NHL playoffs. So let's get started here. First, we're going to talk about the NBA play-in tournament. I'm just going to get Nigel's reaction to probably every team that I talked about when making this prediction. So first, we're going to start with the East, and I made a prediction for that. Mainly for the West, I had like ceiling and bottom, but you can kind of get a feeling of where I had them around based on what the ceiling and floor was for each team. So let's first talk about the Bucks. I had Milwaukee in first. They ended up coming up third. Again, Milwaukee still had a really good season, of course, and they've been pretty consistently good for the past few years. Drew Holiday had a decent defensive season, very underrated. Same with Giannis. I had them first. What do you think about that prediction, Nigel, of having them first?
Nah, that prediction was good. It makes sense because they defensively they're probably like the best team in the NBA. Maybe tied with the Lakers or Sixers, but yeah, and with Giannis, yeah, that's a valid prediction. And they were first the past couple seasons too, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And really, one of the main pieces they were missing was definitely Nikola Mirotic. Having a stretch big other than maybe Brook Lopez you kind of had is kind of missing. Now, bringing in Drew Holiday does help that. You have DiVincenzo, but having a big that looked like he was about to take a big step was pretty bad. But they still made some big moves. Also, we kind of forget about this, but losing Malcolm Brogdon, I guess they did replace it with Drew Holiday, but Malcolm Brogdon is kind of a better scorer than Drew Holiday was. So, moving on here, at the 2 spot, I had Brooklyn. Now, of course, when I made this prediction, we didn't know they were going to become Thanos and have all the Infinity Stones. But Brooklyn now, they were just unreal this season. And this year, they actually did finish second. So, what do you think about Brooklyn and their chances in the finals? Basically, it looks like they have to win. It's boom or bust, really, for Brooklyn. But what do you think about them, Nigel?
I think that talent-wise, they're obviously like the best team. Like they have every chance to win everything. But I think with them, it's just all about them. Literally, like they're the only ones that are able to beat themselves. Because if someone like Kyrie, if his head is not straight, like he's gonna, he plays a big role. So like he's gonna cost the team. But if he's straight throughout all the playoffs, I don't see any team standing a chance. Like maybe the Lakers have the best chance, but that would be in the finals, obviously, and they'll probably have like a couple games on them. But overall, nah, I think they have the best chance.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'm really looking at Brooklyn. I think really we have to take in fact that whenever Brooklyn was playing bad, it was because they didn't have James Harden. And this trade for James Harden is what makes them great, because when I look at them, first of all, they are perfect without James Harden. They haven't lost with him. When they're all three are together, they're great. But without Harden, they're terrible. And maybe it's because Kyrie is better as an off-ball guard. When players, when without Harden, Kyrie's the main guard they have to really cover. But with Harden and Kyrie in there, that defenses have to pay attention now to both, and they can't really, let's say, switch on picks or something like that. So having Harden at the point guard, it seems like it's opened up Kyrie a bit. So a lot of people were talking about who's going to get the ball then. I think we know the answer to that. Harden is the facilitator and Kyrie's the scorer, and that's why Harden's so great at point guard. So what do you think about Harden, Nigel, especially what he brings to Brooklyn?
Yeah, people forget that Harden like led the league in assists this season. Like he's proven that he can playmaker, at point guard, like a playmaker. So like bringing him is obviously like what you said, like open up things for Kyrie and obviously the rest of the teammates. But yeah, I think he plays like probably the most important role. But I can't really like say narrow it down to just him because if you think about it, Kevin Durant is probably the better player. But in terms of like what they probably need as a team, it's probably like it would probably be James Harden's playmaking ability because it can open things up for everyone. And if he stays like that throughout all the playoffs, yeah, they're not gonna be stopped.
Yeah, that's a great point. As obviously Brooklyn, the team to beat really in this league. Looking at the three, I had Boston as number three, and honestly, I apologize to all the Boston fans, but this has been a very underwhelming season for Boston, really. Now, Jaylen Brown is out for the season, and Boston now has a 7 seed. It's going to be pretty interesting. So, what do you think went wrong for Boston this year, Nigel? I honestly can't really point a finger either to the East is getting better, but how can an Atlanta finish over Boston? That's one thing I really don't understand.
That one is it's hard to like narrow it to one thing because like talent wise on paper, Boston is like one of the best teams. Obviously, Jason Tatum and all of them, but obviously Jaylen Brown's injury is a big impact. Had a big factor on that. But I think if I were to narrow it down, it's probably just I think Kemba Walker has to step up a little bit more. Like he has to be like the Kemba Walker from Charlotte, the one that was leading the team. Like obviously he's still leading the team, but he's not putting up the numbers that he used to put up. So I think if he steps up, they would have been a much better team. But also they had a lot of injuries and players out for the COVID protocols and stuff. So I mean that's not really like a valid excuse because every team had that, but that played a big role, I think.
Yeah, it's a great point about Kemba Walker, eh? It's kind of weird because, he had that injury just before the season and he didn't return till January. And ever since he had returned, he just didn't look like himself. Also, having Marcus Smart injured is pretty bad. They really don't have that much depth on that team, so you really need every player stepping up. They got a bunch of young players like Robert Williams, but I mean, the center play was decent. Just looking at them, there were teams that stood out this year, and Boston was just average. They were just average. So definitely not a good season for Boston. Looking at the four, I had the 76ers. Now the 76ers had a breakout season. They've been a great team for sure. And they did lose Al Horford. They had traded him away. They had got Danny Green. It hasn't been that bad. Ben Simmons having a great year. And he's definitely going to get defensive first team. So he's been great. What do you think about Philly, Nigel? I mean, it's surprising that they're first place, really. It just feels like Embiid has just been carrying the team on his back because in the beginning of the season, when you think about it, they were one of the lowest scoring teams in the league by far, but Embiid has been carrying them. So what do you think about the 76ers?
The 76ers they've had like a crazy good season this year. But to be honest, I'm not too surprised about that because I knew Embiid was that good. But people seem to forget about that because of his injuries and because like the team just wasn't playing that good. But this year, it seemed like he had a point to prove. He had to redeem himself, and that led to like them winning games and yeah. So I think they have a good chance in the East. But like I said, the Brooklyn Nets, as long as they're firing all cylinders. The Sixers and the Bucks are probably the only teams that have some chance of beating the Nets. But yeah, the Sixers, they look good this year. And if Ben Simmons gets a jump shot, oh my gosh.
Okay, welcome back everyone to Back It Up here, episode number 5, The Return. So next up, my 5th seed was the Toronto Raptors. Now this is the biggest letdown. This is the only team that didn't get a top 10 seed. Look, first, as a Raptors fan, I can speak for myself. First of all, we need a center desperately. We needed a center at the beginning of the season. Aaron Burns. I should mispronounce his name because he was so trash. Aaron Baines was a terrible defensive center, and Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, but mainly Serge Ibaka because of the defensive presence he had, was mainly missed. What this team needed was a pick and roll center that could play good defense. It could have been, I wouldn't mind a lockdown defender, and I would have been in. But we had none of that. All we had was offensive shooters that couldn't play defense. And we were exposed because last year, the Raptors are known for being a great defensive team, and they sometimes can make up for their lack of scoring. Ken Burke was pretty good. He could kind of symbolize that. And Freddie Gillespie was a pretty good backup. But what do you think about the Raptors, Nigel? Do you think Ken Burke is a decent center for them? Or do you think they should pick up a center free agency or in the draft?
No, I think that one's hard to narrow it down to, like, what they have to do, because it could go either way. I think like they could go and get a, let's say, like not really a veteran, but a center that has experience, not like a young center, but a center that has experience but can play defense, like in the free agency. But at the same time, they could rely on getting a good pick, like a good center, or not even just a center in general, like any good, very talented player, because they desperately need that. And Kyle Lowry is probably going to leave at the end of the season, so I think Van Vliet is going to step up like he did before. We've seen it in the playoffs and everything. But yeah, I think they just need a good, talented player to come in. Maybe a couple if they can, but at least one for sure, because they have to get someone new in there.
Yeah, I really like Kyle Lowry. I think he has a chance of staying. But it's kind of a conundrum. First of all, the dream in the draft, if we were to draft someone, it would have to be Evan Mobley, because he's really the only big-time center that could fit straight into there. But maybe they keep Kyle Lowry on a cheap contract. Maybe Lowry wants to come back for a cheap contract, but honestly, I doubt that. If free agency market's going to be interesting, definitely for where Kyle Lowry lands. You have a great point guard that plays great defense. And with Van Vliet playing the point guard, Gary Trent Jr. looked really good, I have to say. We're going to really miss Norman Powell, but you got to realize Norman Powell was going to want a huge extension, and he's probably going to get that in Portland. Gary Trent Jr. has been shooting the lights out. He's been fantastic, but I'll miss Norman Powell. He was definitely a key piece to that championship run. So all pain here from Raptors Nation, but we have some good ones, and we won our championship, of course. So at the 6th seed, we have the Miami Heat, and the Miami ended up finishing 6th, so that was a correct prediction on my part. I'll take that. And when I made that prediction, Miami was really stumbling. We didn't know what Miami was going to be like, because if you remember early in the season, they were missing Jimmy Butler. They had some injuries, and they just weren't playing that consistent, to be honest. They were losing games like crazy. And this year, it's been interesting. In the beginning of the season, we had some breakout games from Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Seems like Tyler Hero's cooled down a bit. Really, has not been the same. So it'll be interesting to see what comes from the Heat in the playoffs. I believe they have to play Milwaukee in the first round. What do you think? Do they actually stand a chance against Milwaukee, Nigel?
I mean, based on last season, obviously, but this season, the Bucks they look more determined,
And they added Drew Holiday too.
And I was gonna get to that. They added Drew Holiday. He's proven it before in the playoffs, with his old team, the New Orleans Pelicans. So I don't think they could probably win a couple games, but I don't think they're gonna win against the Milwaukee back-to-back seasons. I don't think Milwaukee is gonna do the same thing they did last year. I think this year Milwaukee they have more since they have a, what's the word? They have a chip on their shoulder on them. They have a purpose to go against them, especially the Miami Heat after what happened last year. So yeah, I don't think Miami Heat is gonna beat Milwaukee, but they could go to maybe 6 games. But that's all I can see.
Yeah, so now we get to the 7th seed here. At the 7th seed, I had the Pacers. The Pacers are right now going to be in the play-in tournament. So the 7-8, you can't really judge that too much because, the play-in tournament still has to happen. I probably should have done 9 and 10. But the Indiana Pacers are a sneaky, sneaky team. Unfortunately, though, they're a 7 seed. So thinking about it, you have Philly at the 1 and Brooklyn at the 2. What do you think? I'm thinking, like, honestly, if I were the Pacers or the Hornet or the Wizards, actually, no, the Pacers. Oh, no, they're the 9 seed. Oh, my bad. I was getting to this. If I was Boston or Washington, why would I want to be the 7 seed? Just to get smacked by Brooklyn? Why don't I try to be the 1 seed and actually have a chance? I was thinking that, but of course, you're always playing to win. But moving on, we had the Pacers here. And they had a decent season. I don't know. Domantas Sabonis is one of the most underrated players in the league, Nigel. Let's talk about him. He was on my fantasy team, so I know all about him. He's a beast.
Yeah, I agree. Domantas Sabonis, he had a great season this year. To be honest, I knew he was going to have a good season because last year he was underrated this year too, but last year he was underrated, but this year he came out, he put up better numbers and made the All-Star team obviously. I mean, he did last year too, but this year he did too, and yeah, he had a great season this year. I don't think he's only going to get better, and yeah, but the Pacers against the Hornets, that could go either way, to be honest. I think that just depends on who gets hot in either games. But yeah, Sabonis had a great season this year. I expect him to put up even better numbers next year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if Sabonis was on a big market team, he would be much better and way more known than many other players on a big team. Like, look at Andre Drummond now. Now everyone knows Andre Drummond, and he's ass just because he's on the Lakers. So moving on, I put the New York Knicks at the 8 seed. Now, I know almost no one put the New York Knicks in the playoffs, so I didn't think they'd be this good. I think I had them ceiling as like a 6 or 7, but hey, give me credit. I actually had them in the playoffs. The New York Knicks are a great team defensively. They are built on defense. And man, after this year, I'm excited for who they can get as a scorer. You know, I think Kyle Lowry is the perfect fit in New York because he fits that defensive style that Tom Thibodeau plays. He's perfect in it. Maybe you put Rose at the 2 or Quickley at the 2. You have more depth. Bro, what do you think about Kyle Lowry to the Knicks, Nigel? What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. But that would only be good for like right now. That's not going to be good for long term because obviously Kyle Lowry is getting old. But yeah, I think for now that would be a good move for the New York Knicks to play because, like you said, he plays defense. Kyle Lowry is known for playing great defense, and obviously the New York Knicks as a team overall play defense. So that's easy. You can easily see that, and yeah, he'll be playmaking and he'll be handling the ball. Obviously, Derrick Rose does that off the bench, but Derrick Rose he already plays good. But Kyle Lowry, he'll be a good starting point guard to lead the team. And yeah, he would be a great fit for the New York Knicks.
Okay, so next up, I'm just going to do some quick predictions here. I'm going to go through my predictions, and Renajo's going to go through his predictions for the play-in tournament first, and then for the playoffs after that. For the play-in tournament in the East, we have Boston versus Washington. I mean, I got Washington winning this. Washington's playing great. Bradley Beal, look. This is his time to shine right now. Bradley Beal has been under the radar. Even when John Wall was there, John Wall was the main piece. But it's time for Bradley Beal to prove that he can win with the Wizards. This is Washington's game. Boston's not playing well. I got Washington winning that one. Right after, that would mean Charlotte playing Indiana. And I hate to break it to all you LaMelo Ball stands, but Indiana's going to smack Charlotte big time. Charlotte's a fun team to watch. They're a young team, but they're going to get a reality check here. Sabonis, though no one can guard Sabonis. Hopefully Miles Turner comes back, but if he doesn't, they still have some decent center play. And who's going to guard Malcolm Brogdon? I don't know. Karis LeVert at the 3. I think Indiana's just a bit better, and they're more experienced in the playoffs. So they need to win this game with the core they have, and Charlotte doesn't. That would put Boston up against Indiana, and I think Indiana beats Boston too. Sabonis needs to show out, and he needs to make it to the playoffs, really, to show out. And that would set up Indiana playing Milwaukee, and Brooklyn would play Washington. So what's your predictions for the play-in tournament, Nigel, in the East?
Okay, so for the Washington Wizards against Celtics, that one, that one could go either way. I think everyone can agree it could go either way. But I think if Tatum can get really hot, like we've seen him get really hot, he can easily get really hot. I think if he gets really hot, it'll feed onto his teammates, and they could probably pull it off. But if he doesn't, I don't think they stand a chance, because really Tatum is basically like the only really like actual like elite scorer they have. I mean, Kemba can, but he's very inconsistent, and they obviously don't have Jalen Brown. But Evan Fournier is a good pickup though, but I don't think he can put up numbers like Tatum can. So I think if Tatum can heat up, yeah, they have a good chance. And for the Hornets and Pacers, I think I agree with you on that one for the Pacers. I think the Pacers just have just have more talent than the Hornets. Like you're right. The Hornets are a fun team to watch, but overall, if the Pacers are playing good and they're clicking, yeah, they don't really stand a chance. So yeah, I agree with the Pacers one, but I think Boston can pull it off if Tatum plays good.
Who do you got if Washington plays Indiana? That's a close one.
Wait, Washington playing Indiana?
Yeah, because that's who the loser would be if Boston won. So they play each other for the 8th seed.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, that one. That one is just the same as the other ones. No, you can go either way, really. Like talent-wise, I think obviously Washington have a way better backcourt. Like Bradley Beal having career season. So, but I think like in the Domantas Sabonis, like the Wizards don't really have a great paint defense. So I think if Sabonis plays good and Karis LeVert and Malcolm Brogdon play well, I think they can pull it off, because they just have. I think they have slightly more. I think they have more depth. They have more depth than the Wizards. So, but on the flip side though, if the Wizards, like if Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are playing like they've been playing all season, they have a good chance too, because they can, like, their offensive pros can make up for the lack of defense overall as a team. But yeah, that's just up to like how they play and how hot they are basically.
We are back here at Back It Up. Thank you all for tuning in, and shout out to Clean Feed for setting up our audio and recording. So next up we have the Western Conference. I didn't really give predictions for this. I gave like a ceiling and a floor. So I'm going to talk about the main two finals contenders I had in the West. I had the Clippers and the Lakers as finals contenders. So what do you think about those two? One's kind of in the middle, and the Lakers have been struggling with LeBron and AD not there. So personally, I think both of those teams can still go to the finals. What do you think, Nigel?
Yeah, I think for the Lakers specifically, it's just how healthy their stars are. You know, LeBron and AD. AD is looking good. I think he's looking good. You know, ever since he came back, the first couple of games he was rusty. That's understandable, but ever since he's been playing very good. Besides last game, I think last game he didn't play very good, but that's just one game out of the rest of the games that he's played. But yeah, I think the Lakers, talent-wise, obviously everyone knows they won the championship last year, so they can easily go back to the finals. But I think it's just the health and how they perform, because LeBron he has to play like the playoff LeBron we know for them to stand a chance, because the West is stacked this year, and they're I mean the highest they can finish is 8th seed, so they're gonna have to play a good team every round, so they have to be playing well. So that's why I think it's really down to their health.
It's technically the 7th seed, but yeah, same thing. Jazz and the Suns were basically tied for first.
Yeah.
And really looking at it, I'll ask you this: if you're the Lakers, who would you rather play, the Suns or the Jazz?
Right now, probably Suns, because if I'm the Lakers, I would pick. Yeah, I'll still pick the Suns. I think I'll still pick the Suns, because I don't think the Suns are playing the same defense they were playing earlier in the year, but they're still making up for it with their offense. But I think if the Lakers can play the defense they've been playing all year, I think they'll rank like top 3 best defense in league. I think that if they're playing that defense and AD and LeBron do their thing, they can easily beat the Suns. But if they don't, the Suns stand a good chance because the Suns are for real this year. And for the what's the other team? Oh, what's the other team? What's Donovan Mitchell's team?
Jazz.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But for the Jazz, I think the Jazz compared to the Suns, I think the Jazz have better talent, but it just depends on their health too. Because Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley are just coming back, so that's why I think the Lakers would prefer the Suns over the Jazz.
Yeah, that's a great point, really, looking at it. It's really complex. Both teams are really the same. I think the most underrated player out of both teams really is DeAndre Ayton. Picked up over 10 rebounds a game. He's been carrying at the center position. You know, everyone highlights Mikal Bridges, CP3, and Devin Booker, but no one mentions the stuff that DeAndre Ayton does in the paint. He's a solid center, and that's why I'd rather them play the Jazz, because looking at them, you don't want to play that backcourt right there, because that's a good backcourt of Paul and Booker. Paul is a very good passer, and Booker is a very good scorer. You're going to need a LeBron on Booker. I don't even think LeBron would want to guard Booker. So, but the Lakers, again, they're a great team. We all know that. So, moving on, I had a lot of teams sealing as the conference finals. I had the Jazz, the Suns, the Blazers, and the Mavericks. Of those four teams, you see any of those teams not having a chance to make the conference finals?
Could you repeat the four teams again?
I said the Jazz, the Suns, the Mavericks, and the Blazers.
Okay. I think based on the regular season, obviously I would say the Jazz, but the Clippers, they're a very fishy team if you think about it, because last year everyone had them going to the finals and everything, but Denver proved them wrong. So I think this year they're going to play with more purpose, but at the same time we don't know, because last year we seen what happened last year. So I think if the Clippers choke again, then probably either the Suns or the Jazz are going to the finals with the Lakers.
Yeah, looking at it, it would be the Jazz. The Jazz are likely to play the Clippers next round if they beat the Mavericks, because it's the 1 and the 5. I'm still thinking about it. Portland's the 6th seed. They're playing, who do they play? Denver. They're playing Denver. I think out of those four, honestly, Portland's got the best shot at it. I'd love to play Denver and the Phoenix, two teams that are very inexperienced in the playoffs. Portland's done it before. They beat Denver before. They got some great shooting. It's going to be good. They have Nurkic on defense on Jokic. I think Portland's got the best shot. If I had to pick a team that doesn't have a chance to me, I think the Dallas Mavericks would be my choice, just because they're playing the Clippers in the first round. And then the second round, they'd have to play the Jazz. I don't think they can beat both teams. Even if they beat one, they can't beat both teams. I don't think they're going to reach their ceiling this year. But Dallas is making progress. But I think it's very crucial for them to at least make this a series. This has to be close, because you got Kristaps back. You got a solid team to build around. A lot of teams are really good in this West. It's going to be really hard. But, you know, Luka, you're a superstar. You got to start winning, and winning now. It's time for him to win his first playoff series. So now looking kind of, I had San Antonio ceiling as 5th. Obviously, they didn't get anywhere near that. Let me kind of have the other three, we'll say. We have Memphis, Golden State, and San Antonio. Do you think any of those teams have a chance to win in the first round?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to say the Warriors, because they have Steph Curry, you know. Steph Curry's had a career year this year. So I think it's really just down to him, to be honest, because talent-wise, Steph Curry, he's probably the only player right now that's able to take down a team by himself because of his shooting. Because his shooting can help space out the defense, and his teammates are going to feed onto that. And his teammates have shown they can turn it up a bit. They can shoot sometimes, but they're obviously not consistent. But I think if they stay consistent in some way and Curry keeps on his hot form, the Warriors have the best chance out of those three teams.
Okay, Nigel, I'm going to start here with my predictions for the play-in tournament. So the first game, the Lakers and the Warriors. There's no way the NBA is going to let these Lakers lose here. The Lakers are going to absolutely smack the Warriors. I expect them to win by more than 20 this game. You hear it right here. Place your bet. Because the Lakers are winning by more than 20. All you need to do is guard Steph Curry, and it's done. And they have versatility on defense. Dennis Schroeder finna lock him up, bro. The only reason why Steph had such a great game was because Dillon Brooks was in foul trouble. When Dillon Brooks was on him, 4 for 14. Even then, Steph shot like 16 for 35. He needed like 40 shots almost to get 44 points. Steph is a great player, and I'm not saying he's a bad scorer. But Steph is alone, man. He's on a lone island. When you put a good defender on him, he gets locked up. And that's the truth of it. And he doesn't have a teammate to help him that can create shots. So why would they guard the other players, right? And we've seen it all year. He's been a great player this year, but the Lakers are winning this game. Like, come on now. What do you? Next prediction. I almost called you, Nigel, to give your prediction on that one. Memphis plays San Antonio. Memphis is going to win this game. They're better than you think, ladies and gentlemen. Jonas Valanciunas, Dillon Brooks, and John Morant, Kyle Anderson. All you got to say. Warriors versus Memphis. I know this is going to surprise you, but I got Memphis beating Golden State if Dillon Brooks does not get in foul trouble. Because think of it. If you watched last game, Memphis had Dillon Brooks out and Golden State went up by 16. Dillon Brooks comes in the fourth quarter and Memphis outscores them 21-5. 21-5. Then Dillon Brooks fouled out and they lost. So I think if Dillon Brooks plays, Steph is going to be vulnerable, bro. He's going to lose this game. So what do you think, Nigel? What's your predictions? Actually, wait, hold up. Let me give my last prediction. Actually, let me think about. Oh no, I made my predictions. Drawing a blank. What do you think, Nigel, for the play-in tournament?
Okay, starting with the Warriors Lakers. I see where you're coming from with the Lakers. You know, like the Lakers they're way longer than instead of like height wise, they're way like taller and bigger than the Warriors. You know, the Warriors don't really have like a real natural center. You know, they had James Wiseman, but he's out obviously. So yeah, I think if the Lakers bigs have big games, the Warriors don't stand a chance. But at the same time, if the Warriors guards play good, you know, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry obviously, and the role players, because sometimes they actually have good games. You know, they shoot a lot of threes and they make a lot of threes. So I think if they can make their shots, they stand a good chance. But if they don't, they just don't have a chance because, like, in the post, they're gonna get bullied. Like Draymond Green, he plays defense, but I don't think his teammates are enough help to stop the Lakers, especially on the inside. But yeah, I think the Lakers are gonna win, but it's gonna be closer than you think. I think it's gonna be close. It just depends on how well they shoot the ball, the Warriors. And for the Grizzlies Warriors, I see what you're saying with the Dillon Brooks guarding Steph Curry, but at the same time, like, it's not like Dillon Brooks is gonna be on Steph Curry every single time, you know. So I think even if he does, it's gonna open up space for a lot of the rest of the teammates, and if the rest of the teammates play well, they have a good chance against Memphis. So I picked the Warriors over the Memphis. I picked the Warriors over the Memphis Grizzlies.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we are ready to talk about the Premier League. I made some predictions. I wasn't really specific except with the top and who's getting relegated and who is mid-table. So we'll just start with what my top 6 was, or let's say top 8. I had Man City first, Chelsea second, Liverpool third, Man United fourth, Tottenham fifth, Arsenal sixth, and Wolves 7th, and Leicester 8th. So I think the first thing that stands out is Leicester City. Now you got to hear me here. Leicester, they didn't make that many additions. I just thought this was, when usually smaller clubs, I wouldn't call them a smaller club, but when a team overperforms one year, like for example, this happened with West Ham. West Ham, they overperformed. They get to a Europa League spot. They lose the Europa League qualifier. They lose Dimitri Payet, and they end up just free falling basically until lately. So what do you think about Leicester? What has really been the key to Leicester, Nigel, and their emergence into a top 4 spot for now, at least?
I actually think it's their defense. They have Soyuncu is one of the best defenders in the league. I think he's probably, arguably, top 5 best center backs in the league. And obviously, Ndidi, he plays a big role. I think he leads the league in tackles per game or something. So I think it's their defense. But losing Ricardo Pereira this year was a big blow for them. But I think it was Castagne, he stepped up, and Wesley Fofana had a great year, and obviously Johnny Evans. So I think it's actually on their defense, and obviously they have offense. Jamie Vardy, obviously he's had a great season, and Tielemans, we seen what he did against Chelsea, and James Maddison.
Ian Nacho, bro, man, he's been going.
I was getting to that. So yeah, Ian Nacho, obviously the past couple months, Ian Nacho's he's had the past couple months have been the best couple months of his whole career. Everyone knows that. So yeah, and obviously, Leicester City, they've actually had a lot of injuries. Soyuncu has not played a lot this year, but every time he's played, they've always played good. I remember early in the season they played Man City. They had the whole team there, and they absolutely demolished Man City. And I just knew from that point forward that Leicester is going to have a good year this year because they have balance in their squad. They're actually very underrated, and I think if they can keep their players and sign a couple more big players, they have a good chance of actually staying in the top 4, because usually they always get to the top 4 and then they drop off. But I think if they get more players, they have a chance of actually staying in the top 4 and making the Champions League.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between a bunch of years ago, and it feels like a bunch of years ago, but it was only like 5 to 7 years ago, and like now what their big run is, they're probably going to keep all the players that they had before. Before they let go of Riyad Mahrez, that was such a big blow. No matter what, you couldn't really shore that up. Teams were getting used to Leicester, but now with CDMs like Wilfred Ndidi and Yuri Tielemans, with some solid defenders, with Ian Nacho playing absolutely world class so he can support Jamie Vardy, this team's a force to be reckoned with. Again, Ian Nacho is a major upgrade over Okazaki, what it was a long time ago. They got some decent wingers, and this team's a threat. They really are a threat, because sustainability is very hard when you're not one part of that big 6, and they can do that. And I feel like Leicester is what Everton was supposed to be this year, kind of feel. So next, talk about Liverpool. I think they've that big goal by Alisson. I remember I went to look at my phone. I saw a goal. Liverpool, they always put like the player and then they say goal, and it said goal Alisson. I'm like, goal Alisson. Oh, what happened? I'm thinking like it was one of those where like they pulled everyone out and then Alisson scored it from the back. No, it wasn't even that. He scored the winner to beat West Brom 2-1. So, one thing about Liverpool this season with the injuries they've been dealing with and how they've been playing through it. And do you think they get a spot in the Champions League? I had them at 3rd. So, what do you think about that, Nigel?
Liverpool has been disappointing this year, considering how well they've been the past couple of years specifically. I think injuries, obviously, they played the biggest part, losing Virgil van Dijk, the best center back in the Prem. That obviously plays a big role. But they also lost Joe Gomez early in the season. Not early as Van Dijk, but it was still early in the season. So those are their 2 main center backs. And Fabinho was out during the season too. I remember he got injured too. So all of these injuries, they played a big role. And I think the players that came in, they just, like early on, they weren't able to step up, to step up and fill those spots. So they were very exposed. They went on that drought where they didn't score at Anfield for like almost 2 months. I think you remember that. And they lost like 6 straight games. But I think recently they've been playing well. Actually, they've actually been playing well. They've been getting results, and that's what they need. And I think they can actually make top 4 out. But that depends on Chelsea though. But we'll see. I think they make top 4 though. I think Chelsea keeps slipping up. Because Chelsea, they've been slipping up lately. And besides that Real Madrid win, they've been slipping up lately. And especially, obviously, in the league. And so, yeah, I think Liverpool's going to make top 4. Even though they've had a disappointing season.
Also, think about it, Nigel. Chelsea play Leicester next. So
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. So whoever wins that is basically making top four.
yeah, and if it's a draw, that's great for Liverpool, really. But no matter what, who wins, because Liverpool's goal difference is basically the exact same as Leicester. So what Leicester would have to do would be they'd have to dominate against Tottenham, which I don't know, bro. I can't see that happening. I think Liverpool's set. Man U losing to Liverpool really blew a lot. It really hurt them a lot. As a Man U fan, it hurts, man. I really wanted to be Liverpool so badly, or at least get a draw, so we could make sure they don't make it, and we can maybe get Jadon Sancho, but that's kind of sad there. Man U have had a pretty interesting season. Really thinking about it, I'll just speak on this as a Man U fan quickly. It's a step in the right direction, but if we don't get a CDM or center back next year, if we think McFred's going to work, then you must be high, because this team ain't a title contender. I don't know how we're second with those two as CDMs. Paul Pogba's been great. He's been decent as a winger, but really, I think Van de Beek has been disrespected. Was Van de Beek really our signing, Ollie's signing, or was it just the Glazers? I really don't know. So, moving on, let me just whip through my mid-table teams here. So I had, just looking at this, Villa and Brighton were like lower mid for me. Burnley, Leeds, Newcastle, Sheffield, Southampton, West Ham, and Wolves. So I think there the standout is West Ham, and speak to Jesse Lingard's breakout season and how great West Ham have been playing.
Yeah, I think Jesse Lingard needed that. I think everyone really forgot how good Jesse Lingard could be. You know, he's showing it in the World Cup. That is literally the biggest stage he can show it. So, obviously, after the World Cup, the next couple seasons they were disappointing. But he also speak out to that. You know, he wasn't in the right place mentally. So that obviously played a big part in how he performed in games. So, I think leaving Man United was the best decision he made, because it really opened up things for him again, and he's showing it again. He's reminding everyone how talented he is. And West Ham were already having a decent season, so that just added to it, and that's why they're in the place they're in right now.
Yeah, I love to see them make the Europa League, and that may not happen now because of their draw against Brighton. Now, I had Crystal Palace getting relegated. I look really dumb for that one. I had West Brom and Fulham getting relegated. What do you think? What was the key to Crystal Palace staying up? I really thought Wilfried Zaha was not going to stay, so that was interesting.
You know, Wilfried Zaha has actually had a good season this year. You know, obviously Wilfried Zaha, because he plays for Crystal Palace, he's not really talked about a lot, but he's had a good season this year, and he's managed to stay mid-table like they always do. So I did not think Crystal Palace were going to have like an abysmal season. Like Crystal Palace, they have this knack of performing against big teams. So I think that's what keeps them where they are. So if they can keep that up and get better every year, they have a good chance of actually being a good team in the future. But for now, yeah, they meet my expectations of just staying as a mid-table team.
Yeah, looking at it. So now we have two teams for sure coming up in Watford and Norwich. And we have a playoff between Bournemouth. Bournemouth just won 1-0 against Brentford, and Swansea beat Barnsley. I always love Barnsley because, you know, last year I watched Barnsley. Barnsley just barely made it. They had, if you remember, Nigel, you don't really watch the EFL Championship probably, but they played Brentford. Brentford needed to win, and they needed to win. So Barnsley needed to win to stay up in the EFL Championship, and Brentford needed to win to automatically promote. And in the last minute, they scored an amazing goal to win and to stay up by like a point. And this year, they're in the playoffs. So who do you think is going to come up out of those four if you were to pick one? For me, I hope it's Barnsley, just so their FIFA stadium's in the game, because the others are Brentford. But yeah, let me hear your predictions. Actually, let me say my prediction. I think Brentford's going to go up. I think they're going to beat Bournemouth. They have to go up for even Tony to stay, so I think Brentford's going to go up.
Actually, before I answer, what were the other two teams? Because you said 4 teams.
Bournemouth, Swansea, Brentford, Barnsley.
To be honest, I'm picking Bournemouth just because out of all those teams, they're the only team that were recently in the Premier League. So
And
because
they just won. They beat Brentford
yeah,
1-0 at home.
yeah. So yeah, I would predict Bournemouth to go up to the Premier League.
Do you see any of the three teams staying up out of Watford, Norwich, and Bournemouth? Which teams do you think could stay up next year?
I think Norwich. I think Norwich. They have a couple talented players. Max Aarons. Max Aarons is one of the best right backs. So I think if he has a good season and obviously the rest of the team, they have a good chance of staying. Last year they could have. Last year they started the season very well, but obviously they fell off. But I think if they start off the season well again, I think them doing bad last year will make them do good this year because it will play that psychological role in their heads and they'll actually step up this time and actually stay in the Premier League.
The key with Norwich was they didn't have help on the attack really. All they had was Pookie and that was it. But they've been much better lately.
Buendia was good.
Yeah.
Buendia was good.
That's true.
But other than that, not really.
Yeah.
I think they need more creative players like that. But
That's for sure. So I think for me, I think Watford is gonna stay up because of his João Pedro has had a great year this year, and his Miliasar is a beast. Those two need to have breakout seasons, and they can stay up. So that's my prediction, at least out of those. And I think Brentford can stay up too if they get some good defensive players. They already had the attack. I wish they would have made it last year so they could keep Ollie Watkins, but that ended up not happening. So, and Brentford actually, they've never won in the playoffs, and they've been there for about, I think, 7 times at least in the final. So that's that. Next up, we're going to talk about the La Liga title race. We know Eibar, first of all, is relegated. That's going to be very interesting for who gets relegated there. Cadiz was surprising this year. Cadiz is staying up. SD Hauska is in a fight right now to try to stay up. Also, they were a newly promoted team. And Real Valladolid is in trouble there. Alaves got a huge win, so they're going to stay up, likely. So what do you think about, first of all, I always saw this thing. So Atletico Madrid got a big win thanks to Luis Suarez. And I saw someone say that, really, Messi needed Suarez, but Suarez didn't need Messi. Do you think there's some truth to that, really? I know you're a Real Madrid fan, so you're a bit biased, but I would love to hear it.
I don't know about that. I don't think Messi and Suarez have that kind of relationship. I think Messi and Suarez were unbelievable teammates, but Suarez leaving Barcelona was directly down to the board. You know, everyone knew Suarez is one of the best strikers in the world, but they judged him too early because, to be honest, that last season Suarez did not have a good season. He was injured for most of the season, so they thought he was finished. But obviously they would prove wrong. But yeah, that Messi Suarez thing, I don't believe that. I think Messi and Suarez are great teammates and they're great friends probably.
Yeah, who does Atletico and Real play this weekend? I kind of forget.
Real Madrid play Villarreal away at Villarreal, and Villarreal just beat Sevilla 4-0 this weekend. So that also, Toni Kroos just tested positive for COVID, so he's out of the game. So
who do Atletico play?
Atletico Madrid, they play Real Valladolid, but Real Valladolid, they need a win to stay in La Liga.
Wow, that's gonna be good. But
So
Valladolid's in the drop zone.
yeah, they're 19th right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And they need a win to stay in the league. So I predict the Villarreal Real Madrid game. That one's very hard to predict because the way Villarreal is playing right now, they're playing good, but at the same time, Real Madrid haven't lost in 17 games right now. So they're on a hot run right now. But
yeah,
I think if Benzema can get involved, other than the last game, because last game Benzema did not play very good. I don't think he had one of the best games. But I think if Miguel Gutierrez, the young left back, if he starts and he plays like he did last game, along with Luka Modric, because Luka Modric was unbelievable last game. So I think if those two play good and Benzema can provide, Real Madrid then they have a very good chance. But at the same time, Villarreal, they're a threat. Like people sleep on Villarreal every season, but Villarreal, they're a very talented team. When I made predictions, I actually thought Villarreal was gonna make the top 4 ahead of Sevilla, but that one was very tight because Sevilla and Villarreal, talent-wise, I think they're on the same level. So yeah, I predict Real Madrid to win. And for Atletico Madrid, I obviously predict Atletico Madrid. But anything can happen because this season, Atletico Madrid have proved they always drop points against small teams. We seen it last weekend. They almost dropped against Osasuna. So, and since Real Valladolid they're playing to stay in the league, I think that one's gonna be very close.
Yeah, Atletico Madrid are master choke jobs. Like, every time, man, we see them in a great position, they just find a way to choke it away for year after year, ever since 2014. I really don't know, man. I think the key to Atletico, honestly, is still Suarez. I think he has to have a great game. And same with the midfield. If their midfield can really push up the play and find the guys at the right time, because Valladolid, they're gonna park the bus, really. So that's the key for them. And Villarreal, they have something to play for. The 5. There's a big difference. The 5 and the 6, they play in the Europa League, right? I think that's Sociedad and Betis right now. The 7 plays in the Conference League, and I know good and well they don't want to play in the Conference League. Who does? But so I think Villarreal, they have a lot to play for right now, and Sociedad also losing to Atletico Madrid gave them a chance, big chance too. So that'll definitely be interesting. I just wanted to touch La Liga a bit, so that was close. Also, Serie A's been really close. In Juventus, what do you think has gone wrong with Juventus, Nigel? I just want to talk about Juventus quickly because really we know the other teams, they've been playing great. Napoli, Milan, and Atlanta, they've been picking up form this year. And Inter, Lukaku has just redeemed himself. Lukaku kind of reminds me of Suarez. It's kind of like Lukaku was kind of sent away somewhere else. We thought he was mainly done. And at Inter, he's thrived. Same with Alexis Sanchez, kind of in a way. What do you think has happened with Juventus, though, and Andrea Pirlo?
I think Juventus does a lot of things, but if I had to narrow it down to certain things, I think as much as Pirlo was as a great player, he hasn't really proved it coaching wise. I mean, obviously this is his first year, so anything can happen. But clearly, I think he needs another experienced coach alongside him. I think he would be better as an assistant coach instead of actually being the main coach. Because I think Juventus need an experienced manager, because there were games, like I watched Juventus games, there were games which Juventus just looked awful, and sometimes the lineups and everything, it wasn't really down to the players exactly. I think it was down to the coaching and the selections of the teams and everything. Because the players, I think they had decent seasons, but overall, I think it was down to the coaching. So I think Juventus, they should probably Either they're probably gonna keep Andrea Pirlo because they're looking at a long term, but I think they should maybe hire a new staff maybe, because I think they need to refresh that, because if they keep playing like this next season, Inter's gonna blow them out again.
Oh yeah, welcome back everyone to Back It Up. As we go on to our next topic, we'll just run through Ligue 1 quickly. And I'll kind of maybe bring this to Team Canada because we're all from Canada. Me and Nigel are both from Canada. And yeah, you know our addresses now. Lille have been fantastic this year. Yilmaz has had a breakout year. Sanchez is great. And us Canadians are really fond of Jonathan David and the future he brings. Speak to how great Lille have been, especially Yilmaz. We have to give him props because he's been so great as a goal scorer, Nigel.
Yeah, Lille have had that year where they've broken out this year. Lille, I'm so happy for them because that league, like Ligue 1, they needed a team like Lille, like another team that's not PSG to challenge them. Obviously, what's that team? Lyon and them, they challenge them, but they needed a different team, and Lille has been that team this year. So yeah, Yilmaz, he's had a great season this year, scoring goals. Last game, no, I think it was 2 games ago, he scored a hat-trick, I think. So yeah, I think it's not just him though. I think it's the whole team. Defensively, Lille, up until the past couple of games, Lille have had the best defense in Europe. So Jose Fonts, he's had a great season, and their goalkeeper Mike Nine, oh my gosh, what a season he's had. And Renato Sanchez, and in the midfield, Benjamin Andre. Wow, I watched PSG against Lille. in PSG, what a performance he put. He was man of the match. He pocketed everyone on that PSG team, Neymar included. So yeah, that was a big win. And Jonathan Bamba, wow, what a season! He's been probably the best winger in Ligue 1. If we compare, if you put Mbappe as a striker, Jonathan Bamba has been the best winger in Ligue 1. So I think it's been a very balanced performance this season, like defensively and offensively, but mostly defensively. Like their defense this year has carried them, so that's why they're where they are right now. And I think they can pull it off and win this league.
Yeah, it's been incredible, really, what they've been doing, and we're just really excited about that. We've been sick of PSG winning every year, so we went quickly through that. Next up, we are going to talk about the Euro 2020. I'm just going to run it. We're going to run group by group and just make our predictions. Who's going to be the top two? Who's going to make it through? And who do you have as your semifinalist and finalists, really? So we can start with Group A here. We got Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. I'll just start here. I think, of course, Italy's the favorite. And it's an interesting journey for Italy now. They've turned the page from the Buffon era, you could say. And they've had some new players, including Donnarumma, of course, and Nicolo Barella. I think Italy's going to get out this group. They need to make a statement after not making the World Cup. In second, I'm going to take Wales because they've been... I don't know. I think they're just going to be really good. Switzerland and Turkey are okay, but I think with Gareth Bale is going to step up, especially after going golfing for a bit and being with Tottenham. So, what do you think, Nigel, in this group? We know Italy's the favorite, but who do you think can come out in that second spot?
I know you think Italy's the favorite, but I think Switzerland is the favorite. I think Italy and Switzerland, they're on the same level right now. Switzerland are very, very underrated. I watched Switzerland in the Euros and the World Cup, and my God, they were a good team. And if you look on the rankings, Switzerland are actually, I think they're ranked higher than Italy right now. Switzerland are a very good team. Like, people don't talk about them because they don't have a lot of star players, but they have a very good team. So I think I'm not sure who's gonna finish first, but it's either Italy or Switzerland. I think those are gonna be the top two teams. I don't think Wales have enough to just stay with Switzerland and Italy. I think Bale has to have one of those competitions where he just plays unbelievable for them to have a chance. But if he doesn't, yeah, they don't stand a chance. I think Switzerland and Italy are going to be top two in this group. And then Turkey. I mean, Turkey's alright. They have a couple good players, but overall, it's just not good enough. Like, they have Soyuncu, they have Turan, but that's not really enough compared to the rest of the nations in the group and the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. I think one factor that goes into it is if you look at the match where they're going to be played, mainly all of Italy's matches are going to be in Rome, and Italy is the only team that's hosting this year, and I think we gotta really count that as a factor. The games being at Rome, I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard to beat them in Rome, really. Yeah, so we'll see about that. Moving on, and again, we have to remember one thing. A lot of the I think 4 out of the 6 3 seeds make it move on. So even if Turkey or Wales finish third, they can still move on and have to play at 1 seed.
Yeah, that's true.
So moving on, we have Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia. And congratulations to Finland! Unbelievable, making it. Is this the first time they've ever made it to the Euros? I think it's got to be. But looking at Denmark, I think Denmark's the sleeper in this tournament. Really, they're kind of being disregarded to the side, and people know they got a few solid pieces, but man, they play well together. They're a really good team with Eriksson and Poulsen leading the line. You got Kasper Schmeichel. They made a deep run in the World Cup, ended up losing, I believe, to Russia. What do you think about Denmark in this group, Nigel?
It's funny how you said that because Russia is in that group too, Denmark and Russia. But yeah, I think Belgium is gonna come out on top. I think a lot of people can agree on that. Belgium this year, a lot of their players have had unbelievable seasons besides Eden Hazard, obviously, especially Lukaku and De Bruyne. They've been They've had a great season this year, and I think if they can play the way they did, or even better in the World Cup, they're for sure gonna come out on top. And Denmark and Russia, that one is close. I think that one just depends on who plays the best against Finland and Belgium, but we'll see. But for sure, Belgium's gonna finish first in this group.
Yeah, and one of the main factors I put into, if you're a team that's hosting, you're gonna have a better chance. Now here, both Denmark and Russia's hosting, but the Russia-Denmark game is in Copenhagen, and that's pretty important to me at least. Again, when we saw in the World Cup when Russia was hosting, they played above and beyond what they were supposed to play like. So, but again, there's a lot of teams hosting, so a lot of teams are going to have that same advantage, just like Denmark here. So we move on to Group C. We have Austria, Netherlands, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. Netherlands being dealt a big blow with no Virgil van Dijk. It's still a pretty good team. And it's interesting, Netherlands, ever since that 2014 World Cup, is that 2014? Oh no, I'm getting mixed up with Spain. But really, ever since the Robben era, you could say, ended, they've been kind of turning the page with some new young players. It feels like their team is starting to pay. What do you think about Netherlands? Do you think they could top this group, or do you think Austria really will show up in this one?
I think for Netherlands, losing Ronald Koeman is a blow for them, because Ronald Koeman was probably the perfect manager for them. But yeah, losing Virgil van Dijk as well is a big blow. But I think they still have enough talent to top this group. This group, it's not really the most talented group, but there's decent teams. Like all the teams are decent besides Macedonia. But yeah, I think Netherlands can pull it off and finish first. They have a lot of talent still. Like, just because they don't have Virgil van Dijk doesn't mean they don't have anyone to replace him, because they still have De Ligt, they still have Daley Blind, they still have Stefan de Vrij. So yeah, they still have talent on their team, on their defense, especially because Virgil van Dijk. And their midfielder Frankie de Jong has had a great season this year, and if he keeps it up into the Euros, he's going to be a key part on the team. And Memphis Depay, obviously. But yeah, I think that I think even without Virgil van Dijk, they still have a good team. But obviously it would have been better with Van Dijk. But yeah, they're going to finish first, I think.
Yeah, and we gotta realize, like, for a team like Ukraine here, if they can beat North Macedonia by a lot and get a result, and get a point against either the Austria or Netherlands, they're for sure going to make it to the round of 16. So this opportunity is a big chance for Ukraine to get to the round of 16, which would be a great accomplishment for them, and you never know what happens after. So moving on to 13 here, we have Croatia, the Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. And this is England's getting another. They get to play Croatia again. It seems like they want everyone to rematch against each other from the World Cup. But I don't know. I think England's up to make a statement. I think if you remember Croatia's golden generation in '96, they made a regression back after that. I think Croatia takes another step back. I may be biased as an England fan, but I think England takes it. But you never know. England needs to finish first if they want an easy opponent in the round of 16, thinking of it too. But what do you think about this one, Nigel? Croatia's are going to be hard for England, but I just think England, they're really talented, man. They have some good players.
Yeah, I agree with that. On the England part, like, England have gotten better compared to their team in the World Cup. Croatia, I don't think people realize, but Rakitic actually retired from international play, so that's a big loss for them, because Rakitic in the World Cup was unbelievable. Obviously Modric is better, but Rakitic was also unbelievable. So I think losing him is going to play a big role. But at the same time, they should have Mateo Kovacic
and Brozovic,
who's a great player. Yeah. But Luka Modric, it's going to be down to him, and he's had a great season with Real Madrid this year. He's played, I think, out of every Real Madrid player, I think he's the only player that hasn't been injured more than once. So he's played the most games, even though he's 35 years old. So I think if he somehow has the legs to keep up and stay playing well in the Euros, then they have a chance of getting out of this group. Other than that, yeah, I think England's gonna top this group. I don't think they're gonna. It's gonna be a repeat of last year. I think England's gonna come out on top against Croatia.
Okay, so moving on here, we have Group E. We have Poland, Spain, Sweden, and Slovakia. I know Zlatan isn't playing, guys, but don't underestimate Sweden here. They still are a decent team. They could surprise Poland. I get Poland as Lewandowski.
Isak.
Larson's really good too. For Spartak, those two strikers are really good. That's an underrated pairing. Just got some pace to it. If they can get it together defensively, I mean, that can be a good team. They're definitely, I think, at the least, they're a 3 seed. And you even have Slovakia here. Not bad here. Let's not forget about Martin Hamšík. I know he's out in I believe he's in the Chinese league now. It's kind of, jeez, that was like a failed project right there. So who do you think is going to finish second there, Nigel? Poland, Sweden, or Slovakia?
I think Sweden too, to be honest. But at the same time, on the flip side, if Lewandowski continues his hot season that he's had, Poland have every chance of finishing second because just the way he plays, Lewandowski, he can easily carry that team. But yeah, if he doesn't, then I don't think they have a good chance. I think Sweden is slightly better talent-wise, but they don't have a superstar like they do, Lewandowski. So I think it's just down to how Lewandowski plays. If Lewandowski scores a lot of goals and everything, then they have every chance of finishing second. Because I definitely don't think they're gonna finish first against Spain. I just don't see that happening. Spain, they're just a great team. Everyone sleeps on Spain, but they're a very good team, and I expect them to finish first, and I expect Sweden or Poland to finish second. But again, it just depends on Lewandowski. It really just depends on Lewandowski.
Thanks a lot there. So now we're going to move on to the last group really here. France, Germany, and Portugal. And before I ask who you got winning this group, I gotta say, does the third place team get out of this group into the round of 16? And think of it, imagine you have a Germany or Portugal and you're a number 1 seed and you have to play them. That's going to be quite something. Does one of these, do all 3 teams get out into the round of 16? Or does one team just flat out bomb and just not make it?
Are you not including Hungary? Or are you just talking about
the France, Germany, and Portugal? I think. Do you really think Hungary has a chance in this group? I mean, any team that plays Hungary knows they have to beat them by a lot for goal difference.
Yeah. So, I think in terms of winning the group, I'm gonna go for France. I'm gonna go for France for winning the group. I think France, they have amazing depth, and they've proven it that they can win it because they actually won the World Cup. But the flip side is Portugal won the Euros. They're the holding Euro champions. So I think those are going to be the top 2, and Germany's going to finish 3rd, and Hungary obviously finish 4th. So yeah, I think the third seeds they advance, right? But they advance to like a harder
4 out of 6, so 2 don't.
Huh?
And that's 2 don't, and this is where the problem lies. You have to have a good goal difference, and if you're playing, if the third seed,
that group is definitely the group to watch.
If the third seed has a win and a draw, it basically guarantees it goes through. But if it only has a win, then you don't know. You gotta have a good goal difference. You may not have that when you're playing 2 other world-class teams.
Yeah, that's true. And those teams are unbelievable defensively, especially Portugal. Ruben Dias, best defender in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think France, Portugal, and Germany's the order. I think the key is Germany has to absolutely smack Hungary, and I'm talking like 5 or 6 nothing. It's time to smash a team here, Germany. You need to show up, okay? It's a new generation, and they gotta show up here for this one. Let's just give our winners. Because, we don't know how the bracket's really going to shake. No, I picked England as my winner. I'm an English fan, so I'm going to go with England as the winner. They got a great team. It's hard for Portugal, France, and Germany when someone's going to be a 2. in a 3, and they're going to have to play a hard opponent. I think England just finds a way. This team has really been taking steps to becoming that team that definitely can win it. And they were almost at last year. I think the most important thing is that their center backs play really well. And, I think Maguire and Stones have taken steps forward. You have Chilwell playing fantastic. Even Luke Shaw's not bad. They have Trent on the right. They also could put in Wan-Bissaka if they want more of a defensive right back. They have some decent CDMs. They have Sancho and Sterling, Foden and Mount. I mean, this team is stacked. Now, they may need some really good CDM play from Jordan Henderson. Declan Rice needs to show up like he did with West Ham. So that's going to be probably the most important thing. If Declan Rice shows up, this whole team will show up. But, it's anyone's game. So who do you got winning here at Euro 2020, Nigel?
I want to sound like everyone else, but I got Portugal winning. But I just think Portugal, they're the most balanced team. I think Portugal and France, those two are the most balanced teams. But because Portugal have Ronaldo, he's that superstar that no other team has really. So I think that's why I'll give the edge to Portugal over France. Defensively, Portugal is basically like unbelievable. I think the only way to expose them is pace-wise, because I think Ruben Diaz and Pepe are not really the fastest, but they're still very good defenders. So if you can get in behind Portugal, then you have a good chance. But if you can't, then I don't think you have a chance, because their offense is stacked. Bruno Fernandes this year has just been unbelievable. Joao Felix, he had a very good first half of this. His second half, he kind of slowed down, but overall it's been a good season. Bernardo Silva, William Carvalho, Danilo Pereira, all of those players, they know how to win. They've won the Euros. And Ruben Diaz, I don't think people talk about this enough, but Ruben Diaz, when they won the Nations League, he was man of the match. And in the Euro 2016 final, Pepe was the man of the match. So those are the two starting center backs. You know what I mean? So what else do you need? They have world-class center backs. And Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't have to say anything about him. Bruno Fernandes is brief. If Portugal can manage to get Bruno Fernandes like the way Man United do, obviously, like, it's not gonna be the same, obviously, because different teammates and everything. But if Bruno Fernandes plays well and creates everything, I don't think Portugal is going to be stopped. Like, I just think Portugal, they're just perfectly balanced. They have young players too. Felix, Renato Sanchez. Joao Cancelo has probably been the best right back in the Premier League this year. Joao Cancelo. I don't think people talk about Joao Cancelo enough. And Ricardo Pereira too. Like, obviously he came off his ACL injury, but before that he was literally the best right back in the Premier League. So I think Portugal.
And they have Telles at left back too. So they have a more balanced team than they've had in years past.
Wait, Portugal?
Yeah, they have Telles. Oh, am I getting mixed up?
You're getting mixed up. Alex Telles is Brazilian. Yeah, they have Rafael Guerreiro at left back.
Oh, bro, I sound so dumb.
That's okay. So I think probably actually the weakest link they have is probably left back. But at the same time, Rafael Guerreiro is still a good player, and their center backs can make up for it. Oh, and special shout out to Rui Patricia too. That's a great goalkeeper they have. So I just think Portugal.
Yeah, Sporting this year have been great. They won their first championship in years. You see Cristiano Ronaldo's mom saying he's going to get Ronaldo to Sporting. Now that's something I wouldn't mind seeing. I think a lot of Portuguese fans wouldn't mind seeing that either.
The flip side to that is Ronaldo's agent said he's not having that, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe he can come to the MLS, so we can see him in the US.
That would be a dream for us.
I think no one in Europe would like that. Okay, thank you, Nigel, for coming by. Let us know in the comments who you got winning Euro 2020 or winning the NBA Finals if you were tuning in for that. And thank you, Nigel, for coming. Bye.
Goodbye.
What's up, everyone? So we are back. I'm just going to talk a bit about the NHL playoffs, and I made some predictions with the North Division. We'll get to those a bit later, but first, to start off, where is it? Let me just pull it up. Okay, so I'm going to first talk about the Islanders and Pittsburgh series. I think it's like
what was that, the Central Division or something? I don't know the divisions fully, but I know Islanders, Pittsburgh, Bruins, Capitals is the first division. Islanders are a really stacked team. Lou Morello is a great GM, and they're going to be all about balance. Let's be real. So Pittsburgh, they've had a surprising year. We didn't think they'd have depth, but Tristan Jarry has not been bad. Islanders are up 1-0 in this series. They got a game winner from Kyle Palmieri. I don't know. I really don't know about the series. It's a toss-up, but knowing Pittsburgh, I think they're going to choke this one away. Give me the Islanders to win this one in 7. Next up, we have the Bruins and the Capitals. And honestly, Capitals got a big win yesterday at home. They needed that. It's another close one. The Bruins have been pretty solid, but I think this is the Capitals series to win. I'm going to take them in 6 games. Wild in Vegas. Give me Vegas in 6. They lost the first game, but you know what? I've seen big teams that lost their first game come out strong the next game. So give me Vegas to win this series. Next up, we have the Avalanche and the Blues. Avalanche in 5. Don't even have to say much. The Blues are a great team, but the Avalanche are just unreal this year. Next up, we have the Lightning and Panthers. And I'm going to take the Florida Panthers in 7 games. I think this is their time. They've broken out this year. They've been absolutely fantastic. So that's been good. The Predators versus Hurricanes. Give me the Hurricanes. They've been a really good team this year. Predators have had a breakout season, but they're going to choke in the playoffs like they usually do. Hurricanes have just been great, and the Predators weren't even expected to be this good. Next up, so for the North Division, there was one big miss, and I said Vancouver would be number 1. And it feels like this year the teams that broke out during the bubble have been terrible. They've sat back, and they just definitely haven't been as good. So that was definitely a miss on my part, for sure. So I'll take ownership of that one. The Leafs second, that was close. And I said the Canadians might finish 5th or 6th, but they made the 4th seed. They weren't even that good. People overrated them. The Jets and the Oilers also made the playoffs. I was pretty spot on about Calgary. So that was good. Looking at the Leafs and the Canadians, I'm going to take the Leafs in 6 games. I'm worried about this because everyone's taking the Maple Leafs. And I feel like when this happens, they lose. I've seen this happen many times. But they're too talented. There's too much pressure for them to lose. I think they take this one. Jets versus Oilers. As a Jets fan, I got to take the Jets in 7. The Oilers have not been that good in the playoffs. Connor McDavid needs to break out, but Winnipeg, they're experienced. They've won in the playoffs before. So that is that. That's just a quick rundown for predictions for the NHL in the playoffs. So looking with the Blue Jays, really, as a MLB fan, I really love as a Jays fan, I love what they're bringing this year. They've had injuries and still performed really well. George Springer, it doesn't really concern me that much. I think he'll be ready for when it matters most. I think the key standout is obviously Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The next step for a superstar that has power is to be able to hit for contact and just get the barrel on the ball. And that's what Vladdy's doing this year. He's lost some weight. He's moved to first, and he's hitting the ball all over the place. He's getting great contact in good wood. He's becoming a great all-around hitter, not just a power hitter. So that's fantastic. The Jays definitely need an arm in a rotation. Robbie Ray, Matz has been pretty decent. Pearson will be fine, and Ryu has been good, but they need one more arm. Ross Stripling just doesn't cut it as a playoff team. So you need another arm, but they're making good progress. Teoscar's had a good year. Danny Jansen's been the one bad spot. Same with Rowdy Tellez. Simeon's been fantastic. People really were bashing that Simeon signing, but if you need more hitting, it's a 1-year deal. It's $20 million. Marcus Simeon's been great. I'm telling you, this team can go to the World Series. They can go all the way if they go all in and get a key start. This is the Jays' years to win it. After last year, they had a good season. They're breaking out, and it's awesome to see. And so, guys, thank you for watching and tuning in for Back It Up. Again, let me know in the comments who you got in the NBA Finals, you got in Euro 2020. What do you think? How good will the Jays do? As a Jays fan here, I'm really excited for the future, guys. If you want more of this, just let me know in the comments. Subscribe. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a good night.